Good evening, it's Owen and Julien Blanc here to speak to you about the cleansing fires of the pain in your life to clear out the illusion and to transport you to a new state where you know exactly who you are. This is going to be a video that explains to you that without pain, you will be a little bitch with very little ability to remain centered, with very little ability to know who you are, with really a minimal ability to know anything in life. Whereas conversely, if you understand how to process pain and you take it as the cleansing fires to dispel the illusions and to take you to the core of who you are, if you can take it in that way, then what we can do is show you how to come back to your center, come back to self-awareness, to clear the fucking illusion and wake you up to the reality of life.
So what I want you to do right now is think of some of the moments you've experienced a lot of pain in your life. You just felt really bad. Just let that come up. Don't you just hate it? Experiencing pain, not feeling very good. It's the worst thing ever. You just fucking hate it, and immediately you're probably shifting to blame. Fuck that person for making me feel this.
How could they do this?
Fuck the universe.
Fuck this.
Fuck the government. Fuck God. Fuck everyone.
Why me?
This is the worst ever, and you get very bitter and you start moving down. The worst thing ever, just that pain.
Punch
Sink
the
into
wall.
it. Punch the wall right now.
Scream.
Get fucking mad. Get
Cry.
frustrated.
Blame.
Scream right now.
Scream.
Scream at your phone. Scream at your fucking
Be
computer.
a little bitch.
That's right. You little bitch. Now, what we want to do here is shift your perspective away from viewing pain as something bad, feeling sorry for yourself, feeling petty, shifting to blame, and instead viewing it as something good, something extremely beneficial to you that will shift your perspective, shift your focus towards what really fucking matters.
Now, this is probably a very different way of thinking because most of your purpose here on this earth is to experience as much pleasure as possible and to minimize pain. And anything that we teach you is actually meant to help you to maximize pleasure and to minimize pain. The challenge is, if you're not willing to go through a certain amount of pain in your life, you're typically going to experience periods where you're sort of in coping and kind of this neutral purgatory point, and then you're just going to keep getting hammered with pain and hammered with pain and so on and so forth. And what I believe is you're going to get hammered with the same amount of pain either way for the most part in life. But if you could move through it, that's where the gold is. Now, you said viewing pain is good, and I absolutely think that's true. And I'd say another word for it that might resonate more with somebody who's newer to this is pain is often necessary. And here's what we mean by that. So we're going to basically break in this concept of what it means to be present to the moment. And you may have never heard of this, but in fields of spiritual growth, they would say that one of the main reasons that you came here to this earth is to become completely present to the moment and to let go of false identities, to let go of false self-concepts or self-images, and to lose that reactiveness that comes from being attached to certain elements of how the world works and needing things to work in a certain way. And really, when you can let go of a lot of that reactiveness and these false self-concepts, you come into alignment with who you truly are. Now, what I've experienced in my life is that growing up, the type of people who I was around were continually gossiping, shit-talking, blaming, and in a victim mindset. And so if they're at the airport and they're gonna miss their flight, they'll sit there crying about it. If somebody does them wrong, they sit there ruminating on it and looping on it. If they lose their keys, they just start kicking the car. And they're in this continual state of ups and downs, because when things are going well, they're happy for a minute, and that's even if they even can experience that much happiness, even if they can. And then when things are going down, they're perpetually pissed off, upset, or in victim. Now, what I've experienced is that as you move up, what you'll find is that life will put pain in front of you. And there's a decision that you make when that pain is in front of you. It's a decision that you make every single time something comes up, which it will continually if you're alive. If the pain's gone, it means you're dead, okay? So if there's pain now, it means you're alive. The decision is, are you going to move up or are you going to move down? Now say this with me. Am I going to move up or am I going to move down? And what moving up means is that when you feel that pain, rather than having a mental dialogue about it, kind of in this weird cloud of reality, you say, wait a minute, I'm going to use this pain to force me to become present to the moment. This weekend, I've been teaching a program, and I came off teaching from a previous weekend with no break at all. So I came in to teach this program, and funny enough, I was on so much adrenaline from teaching so many days in a row, and I decided to shoot out. This was Julien's second last USA event. I was like, you know what, I gotta come do this. And I couldn't sleep, and my adrenaline was jacked up. So I'm sitting there feeling kind of miserable because I haven't slept in a couple days. I've been getting a lot of work done, which is good. And what I realized in that moment, as I felt myself getting pulled down, we'll all feel this, was, wait a minute, this is actually an incredible opportunity right now. This is a killer opportunity for me to deepen my presence, okay? So in presence work, we always want to be deepening how connected we are to the present moment. Now, as soon as I realize that, look, I'm going to die someday, or at least my physical form is going to die someday. This is just a temporary moment in time. I've had lots of moments like this. Sometimes I don't get to sleep. Sometimes things go shitty. This too shall pass. And then what I do is I let that go and I go into presence. All of a sudden, that weird adrenaline kick that I was getting and feeling kind of shitty that I didn't have the rest that I needed, which I still haven't, by the way, as I'm doing this, all of a sudden, I felt myself deepening in presence. And that was an incredible feeling. And all of a sudden, when I made that choice, it was actually, you guys were sleeping, and I couldn't pass out. And I was driving this amazing restaurant here in Dallas called Mud Hens, which I think is amazing. So I'm driving to Mud Hens. And just in the taxi there, Uber there, I just became present again. And I felt my presence, that presence that inhabits me, I felt that deepen or go to another level just on the ride there. And I've been feeling that all day. It's been really amazing. Still tired, don't get me wrong. Looking forward to catching a flight back in about half an hour back to LA. I'm gonna get a good rest. I'm gonna rest up for a few days, take some days off. It's gonna be great. Hang out with my kids, wonderful, right? But at the same time, the feeling that I even feel now from being more present compared to before is a nicer feeling than I'll feel back in Los Angeles. So the major thing here is to disabuse yourself of this belief that you need everything to be perfect in the physical world in order to feel good. When in fact, you can make a decision to cease that mental dialogue and to use that pain as actually a momentum builder or actually as a propellant into presence. That being the case, we even need to go deeper here, realize that so much of your self-image, so much of your thought patterns is an illusion. And in Eastern philosophy, we call that Maya. And what that means is that you're looping it in your head like, just going in loops and loops and loops, but you don't actually have to do that. It's not necessary for you to do that. You can actually go into presence, and from a present state, all of a sudden, maybe you can get your work done. Even if you're a little miserable, maybe you can feel happy. And from that state, a lot of people think that happiness is the end goal. In my mind, I view happiness as the foundation.
So I love what you said about pain in terms of cultivating presence and more importantly, using that as a platform to take action and crush it and really changing this label that we don't deserve pain or that pain is bad. You know, because we resist it immediately. We're like, oh, pain. It's like, no, that's not what life is. It's the contrast, the ups and downs, which makes life life. It'd be bland, it'd be boring otherwise, and you'd just be in a state of apathy. You know, we're so conditioned to think everything must be peachy, we must live in pleasure all the time, but that's just hell. Not just in terms of apathy, but you also lose track with what really matters. And that's another gift that pain really provides. It immediately brings to the forefront of your fucking mind what truly matters, what you value, what you care about. And I really view it like just being cheered off the cliff by pleasure. It's like you're just kind of lost in this haze. I noticed that if I take like periods of time where I just get a little distracted, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna take a vacation. Immediately I start slacking off when it comes to my goals. I'm not even really that happy, and I'm like, oh, let's look for more distractions.
Yeah, it puts you in a derp state.
To kind of like cope with this derp state. And as soon as say pain hits, like I might feel a little tired and a little underslept. And I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck am I doing? Or something may happen and I'm not very happy. Immediately I'm like, what the fuck was I just doing? What trance was I in? So it just wakes you up and your priorities, your values just come to the forefront of your mind. It also makes you feel grateful for those times. Because when you're in pleasure, like, I deserve this, whatever, I'm always like experiencing pleasure.
It's context.
Yeah, you never actually just take it in like, whoa, look at this. And I mean, the best example is just getting sick, which fortunately I've not been sick in a while, but I remember like you get an earache. There's one, an earache. You're like, you know what, my life, earache kicks in. You're like, what the fuck was I complaining about even before? This ungratitude, now I have an earache. Things can always be way worse, and pain's just a great reminder of that. Mm-hmm. It's like things could always be way worse, be grateful. So there are many, many gifts when it comes to pain. Look for those gifts instead of resisting it and just bitching and blaming.
Things that we love to do are things like, say, Russian banya, or the cold plunge pool, or cryotherapy. Anything that will put that pain in you, and it's not like a nasty, nasty pain, but it's the kind of pain where it's it's there, and it's kind of just like you're in a cold plunge. You're kind of fucking cold, right? And you just get so present that by the time that you get out of that cold plunge pool, it's like you do an ice bath, you will feel like you smoked a big fucking joint. Now, a lot of people will use, say, marijuana or things like that to get present, but this is something that can also be trained within you. And you have to make a decision that that becomes your default. Now, understand that your life, as you think of it, is fucking bullshit. And I want to be very, very clear about this. The average mental dialogue that you have, if you're a marketer and you've studied this, looks something like this. I want status. I want to have sex, and more money, and I don't want to feel pain, and I don't want to have to take action, and I don't want to have to do anything, and I want to look cool, and I want people to think I'm cool. And this is an autopilot loop going in your head because 99% of your thoughts and actions are based in social conditioning, which is the thoughts of other people that have been brainwashed into you, things like ego gratification so that you look cool, and the fulfillment of biological drives. Basically just things that you're attached to and you're being pulled around like a leaf in the fucking wind. Now that being the case, let's say right now we're gonna do a thought experiment and say, are you gonna go to heaven someday when you die? Is there an afterlife for you? Are you really important? You're gonna go to heaven and just be reincarnated and all this great stuff. Let's say we think about that for a minute. Well, let's say that you were to go to heaven. What part of you would go to heaven? This biological creature that's dead, that just thinks about being hotter or colder or getting its needs fulfilled, would that go to heaven? Well, the physical form's gone, so that wouldn't. Would it be the ego that would go to heaven? Like, I want to look cool, I didn't like this. God better act like this. Is that what would go to heaven? A fake ego, which is a construct of the mind's biology that is basically just there to put the human on autopilot? Would the social conditioning and thoughts of other people go to heaven? What would last? What would go beyond that? What I would tell you is, if that's what's running you, and I'd really ask you to do an audit of what is running you, then what would go to heaven? What is it within you that is proactive? Where is that little seedling, that little ember of proactivity that is actually you? And if you could just take your foot and kind of stomp down on that lizard brain, and take another foot and kind of stomp down on your ego, and take that social conditioning and hold it down, and you just woke up for 1 minute, just for a minute, and came into presence. What is it that you would really want to make out of your life?
So a quick challenge, linking this to what we just talked about, do a 30-day cold shower challenge. Trust me.
Which else is a fucking joke, by the way.
Compared to the cold plunge, I know it's like a little shower. Do your little cold shower, and when you're ready, do the cold plunge. But no, for real, every morning, starting right now, you're watching this video, so starting tomorrow, in the morning, you're gonna do a freezing fucking shower. First thing you do, you wake up, go take a piss, jump in cold water. And you're probably gonna hate it. You're probably gonna resist it. Like, oh, it's a little painful, you know? You'll get in there like, a little pain, a little pain. And what I want you to do is see if, as he said, you can just stomp on that bullshit, quiet those dumb thoughts, and just be present with it. Just take a deep breath and be present and actually experience that pain. You might think it's bad. That little voice will say, no, 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 not the pain. Put the warm, put the hot water. No.
Be with it.
Be with it. Just deep breaths, be with it, and see if you can actually experience it. See if you can find a way to enjoy it. Develop that perverted pleasure in the pain, if you will. So really start viewing pain as this needed slap in the face, you know, just slapping you out of the fucking trance that you're in. And to really hammer this home, do this audit on your thoughts right now here today. Are they new thoughts? Are you thinking about important new things? No. 90% of your thoughts here today are the same thoughts you had yesterday, the same concerns, the same petty little worries, and the same thoughts you had the day before and the day before that. You know, there's that movie Groundhog Day. That is literally what is happening to you. It's just like autopilot, just derping around. You're in this fucking trance, walking around in this haze, and guess what? Pain? Wake up. That's pain. You know, think of the movie Fight Club. You know, now don't necessarily get into fights or start hitting yourself here watching this video, like violently, like punching yourself in the nose, although you may need it, but view pain that way. You know, just snapping you out of all the bullshit, the concerns, chasing things you think will make you happy, but they don't, and just being shooken up.
Wake up.
Whoa, what the fuck is this? I'm alive. What was I thinking? What was that fucking trance? Here I am. Enjoy it. And you don't necessarily need to go proactively find pain, because trust me, it will find you, but view it as a gift, a blessing. That's really what pain is.
So really pause here, and once you've taken stock of the fact that you're on autopilot most of the time, once you've done an audit of your autopilot emotional states, Then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to do an audit of the condition of the world. And when you look at the world, look at how fucked up it is and how many things are going wrong. Now, there's many, many reasons for this, including lack of infrastructure, lack of education, access to different resources. I think there's many different reasons. But a great part of it is also that for most people, their mind is actually so much in autopilot and unconsciousness, there's not enough consciousness within them to make any real change. Anybody who's intelligent will tell you, most people will never fucking change. Even you yourself, I would really take stock of how much you actually change, even studying self-development. It has shocked me over the years, watching even good friends of mine, even myself, struggle to make the most basic changes because at our core, human beings usually don't fucking change. Why don't we change? The reason is because the consciousness is not controlling the mind. The mind is unconscious. And so what we need to do is we need to reclaim the consciousness from the autopilot mind activity and go into presence. Now, that being the case, what we begin to realize that our life is like a fucking dream. We're in a dream state. And when we get this experience of pain, we've got two choices, like we said. One is to go into, why me? Oh, this sucks. And we're going to do that. Look, I do it too. Julien does it. I'm not enlightened. Julien's not enlightened. You know, if we transcended some other fucking dimension, we wouldn't be making a YouTube video in the middle of Dallas in the middle of fucking night. So that's clear as day. But we're on a journey, and, you know, we can just show you a few things that we've learned from all the coaching that we've done and introspection and work that we've done. And a lot of this actually even came from the dating advice stuff, where you see a client looking to socialize and meet new people, and they just can't do it because their mind is so governed by unconscious thinking that anytime they try to break out of their comfort zone, they're being run by it. And someone doesn't like them or give them approval, or they're not in control of something, or they feel unsafe, or they don't know what's going to happen, or they go into self-attack, and it's just fucking running them. So that being the case, you want to take a really good look at your mental dialogue and begin to ask yourself, what would be a perfect mental dialogue? And what I would suggest is that a perfect mental dialogue is one that releases pain easily. You teach that in Transformation Mastery. It lets go of pain. It's one that does not let a lot of low vibration energy, or what Eckhart Tolle would call pain body, into you. It's one that keeps you in a high vibration state, but at the same time, because a lot of spiritual people lack this, it's also one that prompts you to solve problems, to be responsive to what's happening, and to take action in the right direction. Because again, the key to life really is keep one part of you in presence and the other part of you in the world itself. So what we have is, we're not trying to get rid of thinking and become purely present. What we're looking to do here is to reclaim the useless thinking, the victim thinking, the thinking that's not taking us anywhere. And instead of thinking 99.999% of the time and being present 0.1% of the time, maybe when you drink alcohol or get fucked up, or, you know, the odd time that you're laughing or dancing, and we want to get it to where you're present a much larger percentage of the time. And when you do think, that thinking is effective and moving you in the right direction. Now, that being the case, where does pain come into this? Pain is the propellant, because what pain does is it forces us to realize that we're in a dream state, and the dream state isn't working, it's becoming a fucking nightmare, and it propels us out of it. So that being the case, what you have in life, here's what I would recommend. I'd leave you with this, maybe you could leave some of your parting thoughts. Here would be my parting thoughts. What you want to do in life is you want to think of a purpose, and that purpose has to be something greater than yourself. It should still serve you too. You should still receive very nicely from it, but it should be something greater than yourself. Otherwise, you don't have that high vibration energy pushing the wind into your sail. Okay, if it's just for you, it's always like forcing. But when it's for the greater good, there's an other force that kind of propels you. So first of all, it's something beyond yourself. Second of all, it's something that forces you to push into the edge of your potential. So if you have this potential you're born with, and you're not pushing into it, I believe that when people do that and they become too selfish, they go into very dense emotions, the thinking becomes overwhelming, and they go into the shitter. And lastly, you need to have something that really will give you the benefit, or at least is being fueled by, and also cycles back in what you'd call present energy or high vibration energy. So, for example, if we're doing public speaking, we are fueled by presence to do it, but also when we finish this video, we're kind of like, whoa, that was cool, man. You know, like you get this kind of download of high vibration energy when you're doing something that is A, for the greater good, and B, pushing into your potential, and then C, is fueled by high vibration, and it kind of cleanses you. So that being the case, what we say is that pain is the cleansing fire of delusion, or in Eastern philosophy, we call that Maya. It snaps you awake, but you have to have that internal response to pain where you become more present. Now, typically what's gonna happen is you will go into victim for a bit, and that's okay. The question is how long you stay there. And if you make a decision that I'm not gonna stay there too long, like it's okay to grieve, but I'm gonna release, and you talk a lot about that in TM, Transformation Mastery. I'm gonna release, and I'm gonna be as my autopilot move into presence when I feel this is what snaps you out of it. And this is why as you age, for whatever you lose in physical gifts or even in your mind being active, if you grow in presence, that's how you really blossom.
And to conclude, I guess the last thing I'd add is even while recording this video here, which by the way, as you can probably tell, we're extremely underslept. It's fucking freezing. Like literally fucking freezing.
We have a policy, we don't leave a city without a video, so we got it.
But no, even during this recording, there was a couple times where my mind kind of snuck up like, it's a little cold. Aren't you tired? No. I'm fucking here, I'm fucking present. So just keep reminding yourself, no, use pain to move up, not down. Pain is a fucking gift.
Yeah. Understand that your life is essentially an odyssey. It's your journey. And the journey is here to wake you up. So what you see most people interpreting life as is fucking bullshit. It is completely at the surface and is designed to trick them and keep them asleep. When you understand this larger context, I'm not saying everything will be perfect. I'm sure Julien and I could have a lot more embarrassing situations, a lot of failures, public ones, all sorts of dumb shit can happen.
Or it could be perfect.
Okay? Right. Okay, so yeah, it's gonna be a rough one. But at the same time, that's a good thing. You want that. And even for us as teachers, sometimes teachers have this vibe of like, I've made it, fuck that. Fuck that. It's not about you having made it. If you made it, you wouldn't be here. We're here alive to keep pushing into it, to have wins and failures, and I want you to enjoy your journey of life. Once you know to look a little bit deeper, it gives a different context. It doesn't mean pain won't happen, but pain will have a different context for you, and pain will be the propellant for massive growth, for moving up, for finding your passion, and for figuring out who you really are. Wake up! Wake up from the dream. Whatever you're going through in this moment can be taken in that way and be one of the most important experiences that you will ever have.
Like, this program is such a game changer. The way everything's structured and the material, it's been already, even for me, it's just been, I'm noticing a crazy change in the way that my whole life's like playing out.
What you put together is just incredible. There's nothing like that.
I've just jumped like a million levels. It's just been a complete 180 for my experience of existing. That's awesome.
It's just been so huge in terms of so many of the things I'm finally understanding and realizing and epiphanies I'm having.
What you do is a huge inspiration to me, and I think it's one of the most beautiful things you can give to another human in this entire world.
You saved my fucking life, man. I'm telling you, this is real, man.
Sometimes all it takes is just one person who believes in you. Find people who are where you are in life and model them, work with them. I would not be here if I didn't have people who held me accountable.
Wow.
I just felt a click and things are changing.
This program was just top notch.
Seriously, like, this is a masterpiece. This is perfect.
Everything, the way it's set up, the live calls, like all the support from the coaches is incredible.
It's been nuts.
I just had my tears of joy.
This was the best decisions I ever made.
Thank you for creating something wonderful like this.
This program was phenomenal.
This program was amazing.
This program has definitely changed my life.
I know for a fact I'm in the right place.
This is exactly what I was expecting from the program.
It's been spectacular.
I feel really lucky to have found you.
Thank you so much, Julien. It's worth every dollar.